Carl Jung. To see someone's true character, pay attention to just two things. The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. Carl Jung. These words remind us that true character isn't revealed by what people say, but by what they do and what they avoid. In today's video, from Spiritual Wisdom, we explore two powerful insights from Jung that will help you see beyond appearances and understand someone's soul on a deeper level. As you watch, think about the people in your life. What do their actions and silences reveal? And more importantly, what do yours say about you? If this message resonates with you, let us know in the comments. Do you believe someone's true self is shown in small actions or big words? Share your thoughts below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more life-changing wisdom. 1. How they treat people who can't benefit them. They say character is revealed not when things are easy, but when life asks you to keep your word in the face of inconvenience. That's why Carl Jung's insight, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do," still holds weight in a world full of noise and empty declarations. True integrity isn't demonstrated in grand gestures or motivational speeches. It shows up in the small things, like showing up on time, following through on what you promised, and doing what's right, even when no one is watching. These everyday moments are the real markers of a man's spiritual maturity. They are spiritual tests in disguise that ask, do your actions align with your values? Or do you abandon your word when it no longer serves your comfort? In today's fast-paced, results-driven world, it's easy to rationalize a broken promise. I got busy. Things changed. Or worse, radio silence. But every time you walk away from a commitment without accountability, you're not just disappointing someone else, you're weakening your relationship with yourself. A man who is spiritually awake doesn't hide behind excuses. He meets failure with honesty. He doesn't run from the discomfort of truth. Why? Because integrity isn't about perfection. It's about owning your impact and repairing it with grace. Keeping your word, especially when it's inconvenient, is a mirror of your internal order. It reflects a spiritual alignment, a self-discipline that comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. Let's bring this down to earth. Think of the guy who promises his kid he'll be at the soccer game, but lets work take over again. Or the friend who says, "Let's catch up soon," but never makes the call. These may seem harmless, but over time, they chip away at trust. Now flip it. A man who shows up, even when tired, who follows through, even when there's nothing to gain, he becomes someone others can lean on. That reliability isn't just a social virtue. It's the result of spiritual grounding. It means your values aren't just concepts, they're lived. They're embodied in your calendar, your tone of voice, and the way you show up in the world. So here's the challenge. The next time you make a promise, pause. Ask yourself, am I speaking from truth or just trying to please in the moment? And when you feel tempted to back out, remember keeping your word, especially when no one would fault you for breaking it, is the moment you grow the most. Spiritual awakening isn't always about meditation or rituals. Sometimes it's in how you handle your agreements, your mistakes, and your moments of truth. What kind of man do you become when your back is against the wall? That's where the character lives. That's where your spiritual path begins. Have you ever kept a promise when it was deeply inconvenient just because it mattered to your soul? If so, share your experience in the comments to inspire others. If not, comment, "I will live with integrity to commit to the kind of character that shows up when no one's watching." 2. How they keep or break their promises. Have you ever noticed how some people say all the right things but do none of them? Carl Jung once said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." And that one sentence reveals a powerful truth about character. If you want to truly understand someone, not their mask, but their soul, pay attention to how they handle promises, especially the small ones. You see, it's easy to talk about big dreams, to make grand declarations, or to post inspiring quotes online. But real characters show up when no one's watching and when it's inconvenient. A person's integrity isn't revealed in dramatic speeches. It's reflected in quiet moments of follow-through, like being on time when they said they would, or keeping a promise even when no one would notice if they didn't. Think about someone in your life who always keeps their word. Isn't there a sense of peace and safety that comes with knowing you can count on them? Now contrast that with someone who constantly overpromises and underdelivers. How does that make you feel? Let me tell you a story. A man once promised his daughter he'd attend her school play. It wasn't a big deal to the world, but it was her world. The day came, and he was exhausted from work, had emails piling up, and his boss had just asked him to stay late. But he remembered the promise, and despite everything, he showed up tired, stressed, but present. That moment didn't just make his daughter feel loved. It shaped how she would later define trust. Now ask yourself, how often do you show up for the people you love, even when it's hard? That's where the spiritual dimension comes in. Keeping promises isn't just about social duty. It's about alignment between your values and your actions. And that's what spirituality at its core is. Living in alignment with truth, with love, with your highest self. Every time you honor your word, especially when it's difficult, you grow spiritually. And every time you avoid responsibility or make excuses, something within you weakens. Spiritual growth doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in the way we treat others, in the consistency of our actions, in how we carry ourselves when no one is applauding. When a promise is broken, a spiritually mature person doesn't run, deflect, or justify. They take responsibility with humility. And this self-awareness is the foundation of authentic personal transformation. So let me ask you, what do you do when your values and convenience clash? Do you stay true to your word, or do you retreat behind excuses? Think about it. Every decision you make is building your spiritual identity. You're not just creating a reputation, you're shaping your soul. In a world where words are cheap and appearances are carefully curated, the way you handle your promises is a mirror of your integrity. This isn't about perfection, it's about authenticity. It's about choosing to live from a place of inner alignment, where your word actually means something. So next time you give your word, treat it like a sacred commitment, not just to others, but to your own spiritual growth. Because in the end, how you keep or break your promises isn't just about how others see you. It's about how deeply rooted you are in your own truth. When someone helps a stranger without expecting recognition or reward, when they speak respectfully to someone society deems less important, that's not just decency, That's the soul speaking without words. And when a person keeps their promises, even the small ones, even when no one is watching, that's integrity in motion. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious always reveals itself through action, not intention. So what do these actions tell us? That true character isn't loud. It doesn't beg for attention. It shows up quietly, consistently, and especially when no one's watching. So let me ask you, who you are when there's nothing to gain? Do you honor your commitments even when it's inconvenient? Because how you treat people who can't elevate you, and whether you live by your word, isn't just a reflection of your values, it is your values. And maybe the most powerful part of this is realizing that you have the power to build trust, to attract genuine relationships, and to grow spiritually just by showing up with authenticity. What if you stopped judging character by charm and started watching for those subtle moments, like how someone talks to a waiter, or whether they follow through on a promise they made months ago? These small moments are the keys to spiritual awakening, not just about others, but about yourself. Because as you begin to notice these signs in others, you'll also become more aware of your own patterns, your own truth, and your own path to inner alignment. So next time you want to understand someone, don't ask how successful they are or how well they speak. Pay attention to how they treat the unnoticed and how they honor their commitments. And if you're serious about living with more depth, clarity, and alignment, ask yourself, am I becoming the kind of person I would deeply trust? That question alone can change your life. Because spiritual wisdom isn't about knowing others. It begins with knowing yourself. If this message has stirred something deep within you, declare your commitment to living with integrity. Comment below. I honor my word, even when it's hard. Let it be a quiet promise to yourself and a light for others who are ready to grow spiritually through authenticity. And if this resonates with your soul, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more wisdom on living a life aligned with truth. Thank you for joining us today on Spiritual Wisdom. Remember, the true nature of a person is rarely revealed through their words. It's reflected in their consistency and in how they treat others when no one is watching. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs this insight, and subscribe to our channel. And be sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos filled with timeless truths and deep spiritual insight. Stay wise. Stay awakened. 13 signs someone secretly loves you. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Carl Jung. Have you ever wondered if someone is silently in love with you, but they're too afraid to say it out loud? According to psychology, especially the work of Carl Jung, love often hides in plain sight, revealed not through words, but through subtle energy, actions, and unconscious behaviors. In today's video from Spiritual Wisdom, we'll explore 13 powerful signs that someone may be secretly in love with you, based on Jung's profound insights into the human psyche. As you watch, reflect on your own relationships. What signs have you been missing? Could someone in your life be carrying a silent affection for you right now? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to stay aligned with more content that awakens your heart and soul. 1. Subtle admiration or teasing projection. When someone harbors secret feelings for you, that love rarely announces itself in a direct, obvious way. Instead, it often leaks through in ways that may feel contradictory through subtle admiration or playful teasing. These behaviors may appear opposite, but they originate from the same hidden source: unspoken affection that the person hasn't fully acknowledged, even to themselves. According to Carl Jung's teachings on the unconscious mind, such behavior often reflects psychological projection, a process where someone unknowingly assigns their inner feelings onto another person. In this case, love that cannot be verbalized takes shape in gestures, words, and actions that hint at deeper emotional truths. Admiration in this context is not casual. It's emotional in nature, almost reverent. You may notice them offering compliments that are unusually specific or personal. Your laugh, the way your mind works, the calmness in your presence, or how you carry yourself. These remarks go beyond surface-level flattery. They're windows into a deeper emotional attachment. Every word of praise is a subtle signal, a tether to feelings they may not yet have the courage or clarity to fully articulate. In their eyes, you're not just another person. You're something rare, almost sacred. This form of admiration can intensify, especially if they're repressing romantic feelings. The more they suppress, the more their compliments verge on fascination. You become a mirror for something beautiful within themselves they long to connect with, but are afraid to claim. On the other side of the spectrum lies teasing, often misunderstood, but equally telling. If someone frequently jokes with you, playfully challenges you, or gently mocks you, it might not be a sign of disinterest. In fact, it could be just the opposite. Spiritual wisdom reminds us that the heart often hides behind humor when vulnerability feels too risky. A teasing remark can be a shield, a safer substitute for saying something raw, like "I miss you," or "You matter to me." These light-hearted moments are often filled with tension, a mix of desire and self-protection. Teasing becomes the dance between wanting closeness and fearing rejection. Beneath it all is an anxious need to connect, masked in sarcasm or playfulness, because the real truth feels too exposed. These behaviors, both admiration and teasing, are not random. They are unconscious expressions of an emotional tug-of-war, shaped by inner conflict, fear of exposure, and a deep longing for connection. Jung believed that what remains unresolved or repressed within the psyche often emerges through projection. When someone is overwhelmed by a love they cannot express, it doesn't disappear. It simply finds other ways to emerge. This might explain why someone is warm one moment and distant the next, praising you one day and avoiding eye contact the next. They're not trying to manipulate or confuse you. It's their inner world struggling to hold two conflicting truths: desire and denial. To truly understand what's going on, you must look past the surface. Pay attention to their energy, the small changes in their mood when you're around, the hesitation in their speech, the sincerity behind their jokes. Watch how their words might contradict their eyes, how their body lingers in your presence even when their words pull away. Spiritual wisdom teaches us that the unconscious speaks not just through language, but through patterns, timing, tone, and behavior. These signs are often more revealing than the words we say. And so, when someone cannot say, "I love you," they may end up showing it in every possible way, through praise that feels personal, through jokes that carry warmth, through presence that keeps returning. All of it adds up to a silent confession. spoken through the soul rather than the lips. If you've begun to notice these signs, if someone's admiration or teasing seems to carry more weight than meets the eye, trust your intuition. Comment below, "I see the signs of hidden love," and share your experience. Your awareness may open the door for others to recognize the subtle, sacred language of love, unspoken. 2. Hot and cold behavior. Ambivalent attachment. They act warm, present, and emotionally available one moment, showering you with attention, sharing their thoughts, opening up vulnerably, then suddenly turn cold, distant, and withdrawn. The change is often so abrupt, it leaves you reeling. You find yourself questioning the entire connection. Did I do something wrong? Was it all in my head? This emotional inconsistency can feel deeply personal, but more often than not, it has far less to do with you and everything to do with their inner world. Carl Jung taught us that what people project outward is often a reflection of what lies unresolved within. This hot and cold behavior is not rooted in cruelty or carelessness, but in ambivalence, a psychological tug-of-war between the desire to connect and the fear of vulnerability. You're not witnessing emotional detachment. You're witnessing a deep internal conflict. They long for closeness, yet they fear what that intimacy might reveal or demand. So, just when things start to feel real, they pull away, sabotaging the very connection they crave. This push-pull pattern is a textbook example of what psychologists call ambivalent attachment. Individuals with this attachment style are emotionally torn. On one hand, they yearn to be loved, to be held, to be truly seen. On the other hand, they fear being hurt, misunderstood, or rejected. So they operate in a cycle of emotional reaching and rapid retreat. They might open up to you late at night, tell you things they've never shared with anyone, make future plans, and then disappear for days. The silence that follows feels like punishment, but it's not about you. It's their way of protecting themselves from perceived emotional danger. This behavior stems from the shadow side of the psyche. According to Jung, the shadow represents the unconscious parts of ourselves, the wounds, the fears, the insecurities we've not yet brought to light. And as he famously said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Those who haven't confronted their shadow often find themselves behaving in ways that sabotage their own happiness. They're not trying to manipulate or hurt you. In truth, they are deeply confused, trapped between the longing to be loved and the fear of being fully known. In today's world, this dynamic plays out more often than we'd like to admit. Someone may pursue you with intensity, texting every day, saying how different you are, making promises, but the moment emotional safety is required, they vanish. No explanation, no closure. It leaves you spiraling. But it's not about your worth. It's a manifestation of their unresolved fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of being hurt, or fear of not being enough. Many people were never taught how to feel safe with their emotions. Without that foundation, love becomes a battlefield of internal war. Jung would describe this as the struggle between the persona, the mask we show the world, and the shadow, the parts we hide even from ourselves. The more someone suppresses their shadow, the more it seeps through their behavior in unconscious, self-defeating ways. One day, they idealize you, placing you on a pedestal. The next, they retreat because that pedestal feels too fragile, too risky. Not because of you, but because the image triggers their own feelings of inadequacy. And here's the most important truth. it is not your job to fix them. You are not responsible for healing wounds that were never yours. Understanding the root of their behavior can offer emotional clarity, but compassion does not require emotional sacrifice. You can hold space for someone's pain without making it your own. You can understand without enabling. True compassion includes boundaries. It allows you to say, "I see your struggle, but I choose peace." The constant emotional whiplash of ambivalent attachment can wear down your spirit. It makes you second-guess your intuition and question whether the love was ever real. But remember, someone's inability to stay isn't evidence that you're not worth staying for. It's simply a sign that they are not ready to face the parts of themselves that love awakens. And until they choose to confront that fear, no amount of your love will ever make them feel safe. So if you've ever felt the confusion of mixed signals, the ache of being drawn close only to be pushed away, know that you are not alone. And more importantly, it's not a reflection of your inadequacy, but a mirror of their unhealed wounds. You deserve clarity, consistency, and conscious love. If this message resonates with your experience, I invite you to affirm your path toward emotional healing by commenting below. I choose clarity. Let this be your commitment to honoring your heart, protecting your peace, and walking in the light of self-awareness and spiritual growth. 3. Small acts of kindness, love in actions. They won't tell you they love you, but they'll show you. Not with roses or grand confessions, but with quiet consistency. They'll solve a problem for you before you even realize it exists. They'll stay up late helping you finish a task, offer their time without asking for anything back, or remember the smallest things you mention in passing. Silent lovers don't use words. They use actions subtle, thoughtful, intentional. They'll bring you a warm drink when you're overwhelmed, send a message when you're silent too long, or fix something broken in your life without ever needing you to notice they did it. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size." This kind of love is just that quiet, persistent, and growing in the shadows. It's the unspoken emotion that becomes motion. Jung understood that feelings buried deep in the unconscious always find their way to the surface. A person may not be ready to admit their love, but their soul is already acting on it. What they can't speak, they do. What they can't confess, they offer in service. These gestures are spiritual energy in disguise, signs of emotional attachment that go unnoticed unless you are awake enough to see. And this is where your spiritual awakening begins. The moment you realize that the hand that always helps, the voice that always soothes, the friend who always shows up, is doing so out of more than just kindness. They're doing it out of care, out of a love so deep it's safer expressed through action than language. This kind of love doesn't seek attention. It seeks closeness. And even though they may never say it out loud, everything they do says, "I care about you more than you know." We often overlook these people because they don't push. They don't declare or demand, but their presence is steady. They create a safe space around you, not with promises, but with behavior. This is not a coincidence. It's an emotional intention woven into everyday life. In truth, love that is hidden is often more powerful than love that is declared. Because it's raw, it's uncertain, and it's real. Ask yourself, who are you overlooking right now? Who gives you more than they take? Who listens when no one else does? Notices when no one else sees? Supports you without making it a show? That is the person whose heart may be speaking through their hands, their effort, their time. They're not just being nice, they're loving you quietly. When you start to notice this, your awareness deepens. You begin to sense energy more than hear words. You read intention instead of surface behavior. That is the essence of spiritual awakening, seeing beyond what is said and recognizing what is felt. These small acts of kindness, they are not small at all. They are echoes of a hidden affection, a gentle yet undeniable truth. Someone out there loves you more than you know. Do you believe that real love is shown through actions, not words? If you do, declare it in the comments. I see love in every small act of kindness. 4. Constant coincidences, synchronicity. They often appear in your life at the exact moment you think of them. You haven't spoken all day, but suddenly their message pops up. You haven't seen them in weeks, yet you bump into them at the most random place just when your heart whispered their name. Carl Jung called this phenomenon synchronicity, not mere coincidence, but a meaningful alignment of inner and outer events that reveals something deeper is at play. In the context of spiritual wisdom, synchronicity is the soul's quiet language, a sign that there may be an invisible emotional thread binding two people together. When someone secretly loves you, that invisible bond becomes magnetized. Their presence begins to orbit your life in ways too frequent, too perfectly timed to be ignored. It's as though the universe collaborates with their unspoken feelings, placing them in your path without effort or explanation. They show up when you need comfort, reach out when you're unsure, or appear just as you're about to reach for them. These aren't isolated accidents. They are emotionally charged moments that hint at an energetic alignment beneath the surface. Spiritual wisdom teaches that when the heart holds unspoken love, that energy moves outward, subtly shaping reality. Their thoughts of you ripple into the world and return through shared moments of connection. The deeper the emotion, the stronger the synchronicity. Jung's view of synchronicity bypasses logic and taps into the collective unconscious, the spiritual space where souls can meet before words are ever spoken. When someone is in love with you but keeps it hidden, their soul still searches for yours. It may not come in the form of grand gestures or direct confessions, but instead through quiet patterns, glances, dreams, timing, and those strange, persistent moments when they appear without warning. What you're experiencing is not just psychological, it's energetic. These coincidences are often signs of a deeper connection that neither of you may fully understand yet, but both of you can feel. When this happens often, it's a message to pay attention. Because unspoken love doesn't always stay hidden. It leaks through patterns, rhythms, and presence. You might be catching glimpses of someone's soul, trying to connect with yours, not with words, but with resonance. So, don't dismiss it as chance. Within spiritual wisdom, synchronicity is not a trick of fate. It's a mirror of emotion, reflecting something that already exists between two hearts waiting to be realized. Have you ever experienced synchronicity, those moments when someone appears just as you're thinking of them? If so, share your story in the comments so others can feel the magic too. If not, comment, I'm open to synchronicity, and let's welcome the unseen connections that guide our lives. 5. Body language. The unconscious speaks. When someone secretly loves you, their body often betrays what their words cannot say. Without even realizing it, they express their feelings through subtle physical cues, lingering eye contact, sudden nervousness, fidgeting with their hands, brushing their hair, or leaning in just a little closer than necessary. These aren't random gestures. As Carl Jung once explained, the body reveals what the mind suppresses. The unconscious mind, deeply tied to hidden emotions, often finds ways to communicate what the conscious mind tries to hide. A person in love may hold your gaze a few seconds longer than expected, not in a creepy way, but with a kind of softness and depth that speaks volumes. That gaze is filled with unspoken admiration and a desire to connect, even if the words never come. Then there's the subtle nervousness, adjusting their shirt, tapping a pen, laughing a bit too hard. These unconscious reactions often arise when someone is emotionally affected by your presence. Their heart rate increases, their body temperature rises, and suddenly, they're no longer in control of their physical responses. Another telltale sign is physical proximity. Someone who secretly adores you may find reasons to sit or stand closer than necessary. They may lean towards you when you speak, brush against you accidentally, or position themselves to mirror your body language. This is not random behavior. It's the unconscious attempting to feel connected and safe around the object of their affection. Jung spoke of projection, how people unknowingly place their own emotions onto others. So even when they don't fully understand what they're feeling, their actions give it away. Take, for example, a real-life situation. A young woman named Emily worked with a man who never said anything romantic, but he was always attentive to her. He'd open doors, offer help without being asked, and seemed to light up every time she entered the room. She didn't think much of it until she noticed that he never acted this way with anyone else. When they talked, his posture changed. His body faced hers fully. His eyes stayed locked on hers, and his hands trembled slightly when they brushed. Over time, she realized that every unconscious movement was revealing something deeper than words ever could. These unconscious signals are incredibly powerful because they come from a place beyond logic. They are emotional truths leaking through the cracks of self-restraint. And if you ignore them, you risk overlooking a love that's quietly unfolding in your life. That's the beauty of what Carl Jung taught. True emotions, especially love, cannot be hidden forever. They will emerge, whether in a glance, a gesture, or a gentle smile. You simply have to notice. These signs are not just clues. They are invitations. Invitations to pay closer attention, to look past what is said and begin listening to what is felt. Because sometimes, the heart speaks loudest through silence. If you believe the body never lies, show your support like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below, sharing your experience with hidden signals. Let's explore the language of the unconscious together. 6. Mentioning you often slips of the tongue. They say your name more than anyone else does, sometimes during a group conversation, sometimes in passing, sometimes for no clear reason at all. And what's more curious, they often don't even notice they're doing it. To the average person, it may seem like nothing but a harmless slip of the tongue. But to those with spiritual awareness, this is a powerful clue. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, understood that the unconscious mind doesn't stay quiet for long. He explained that our repressed emotions, especially those we try hardest to conceal, inevitably find their way out, often through our speech. So when someone frequently says your name, even in conversations where you're not directly involved, it's not just coincidence. It's an emotional leak from the depths of their subconscious. Unspoken love rarely walks through the front door. It enters through side conversations, subtle habits, and unconscious behavior. Think about it. How many times has someone mentioned your name with a smile, or used you as an example in a totally unrelated story? Maybe they insert your name into jokes or reference you out of context. That's not randomness. That's an emotional residue. And behind that behavior is a heart that hasn't yet found the courage to speak directly. Jung called this psychological projection, when inner feelings get unconsciously transferred into external actions. In the case of hidden love, mentioning your name becomes a safe way to feel close to you without revealing too much. This is especially common during moments of spiritual awakening. As you begin to notice patterns in your relationships, you also start to sense when something is more than it seems. Someone constantly referencing you, even casually, is a small yet potent signal that you've left a mark on their inner world. And while they may not confess it outright, their unconscious keeps showing its hand. This isn't just about romance, it's a spiritual phenomenon. Love, when repressed, still wants to live. So it finds a way to breathe through language, through presence, through energy. Spiritual wisdom teaches us that the universe communicates in whispers before it shouts. The repeated mention of your name may be one of those whispers. It might be their soul calling out, hoping you'll hear the echo. And if you're awakened enough to notice, you'll realize these are not slips of the tongue. They are hidden confessions dressed in casual words. If you've ever caught someone mentioning your name out of the blue, it might not be random. It could be their unconscious revealing hidden feelings. If this resonates with you, comment below, open your heart to invite deeper connection and clarity. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another insight from spiritual wisdom. 7. Subtle jealousy, emotional reactions. When someone secretly loves you, one of the most revealing signs isn't a confession. It's their reaction when you talk about someone else romantically. Maybe they suddenly go quiet, change the subject, or throw in a sarcastic joke that feels slightly off. This isn't just awkwardness or coincidence. In many cases, it's suppressed jealousy, an emotional response that leaks out when the heart wants something it feels it can't have. Carl Jung emphasized that our unconscious emotions always find a way to express themselves, even when we think we're hiding them. In this context, subtle jealousy is not a flaw. It's a window into hidden affection. Pay close attention to their energy. Do they seem irritated, withdrawn, or emotionally distant the moment you mention another person who might be close to your heart? Their discomfort isn't about the other person. It's about you. These quiet shifts, often hidden beneath casual jokes or dismissive comments, are rarely accidental. A simple, "Oh, looks like someone's got a new admirer," may sound lighthearted on the surface, but underneath, it could carry the weight of insecurity and longing. According to spiritual wisdom, love energy is magnetic. And when that connection is unspoken, it can stir up unconscious tension. Their sarcasm may be a defense, a shield for the vulnerability they're not ready to show. They might act indifferent, but their spirit pulls away. Their aura contracts. You may feel a sudden change in the emotional temperature, even if they try to hide it with a smile. This is how the soul speaks when words are too risky. The inner conflict between love and fear creates a push-pull dynamic, and jealousy becomes the silent language of the heart. As Jung wrote, Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Their irritation reveals their care. Their distance exposes their desire. Sometimes they might pretend to cheer for you, yet every compliment sounds slightly forced. They offer support, but there's a hesitation, a pause, a tiny moment of emotional static. You can sense it, because even when love isn't declared, its energy vibrates through every reaction. This is where spiritual wisdom meets emotional intelligence, learning to read the energy beneath the words, the meaning behind the mood. In many love stories that never began, it wasn't rejection that ended them. It was the inability to recognize the signs in time. So if someone seems uncomfortable when you talk about other romantic possibilities, don't dismiss it. Their reaction might be the most honest thing they've ever shown you. Jealousy, when rooted in silence, often carries the deepest truth, that their heart is speaking even if their lips are not. If this message resonates with you, take a deep breath and affirm, I recognize the hidden signs of love, and I open my heart to truth and emotional clarity. If you believe this speaks to your journey, like the video, subscribe for more spiritual wisdom, and comment below to share your thoughts. 8. Appearing in your dreams, energetic connection. When someone keeps appearing in your dreams, it may be far more than coincidence. Carl Jung believed that we are all connected through a collective unconscious, a deep reservoir of shared human experience where emotions, symbols, and energies flow freely across space and time. In this realm, intense thoughts and feelings from another person can ripple into your own subconscious, especially when they are emotionally charged and unspoken. That means if someone is thinking of you often, especially with deep affection or longing, their energy might reach you through your dreams, even if they've never said a word. Dreams are not random illusions. They are messages encoded in metaphor and emotion, and sometimes those messages originate from beyond your own mind. Jung taught that when we sleep, the conscious filters drop away, allowing energetic impressions from others to reach us more clearly. You might feel the warmth of a presence, the ache of unresolved love, or the echo of a memory you didn't realize still lived in someone else's heart. When someone who secretly loves you is too afraid or unsure to express their feelings, that emotional tension can overflow into the spiritual space of dreams. Imagine this. Someone out there carries a silent affection for you. They replay old memories, wonder what you're doing, feel a tug in their chest when they hear your name. That energy doesn't vanish, it lingers, it travels. Your soul, more attuned than you think, might pick up on it. This is why a certain person may visit your dreams over and over, even when your waking mind has moved on. It's not always nostalgia. Sometimes, it's a real-time signal of emotional energy moving toward you. These kinds of dreams are especially powerful when they occur during moments of change, vulnerability, or reflection. The dream may feel vivid, emotionally charged, or even strange, but it stays with you. This is the subconscious whispering a message you haven't yet received in waking life. Carl Jung believed that symbols in dreams often express what can't be said aloud, and that love, when denied its voice, will find another way to be heard. So when someone visits your dreams repeatedly, don't dismiss it. Ask yourself how the dream felt. Was there unresolved emotion? Was there peace? Was there longing? You might be receiving part of someone else's unspoken story, written in the language of energy, not words. These dreams may be subtle invitations to heal, reconnect, or simply become aware of a bond that exists beyond the physical world. Love, even in silence, always seeks expression. And sometimes, that expression arrives not through text messages or phone calls, but through the quiet poetry of your dreams. If this message resonated with your soul, drop a comment of faith. I trust in the unseen connection. What's meant for me is already finding its way. 9. Mirroring behavior, deep connection. When someone unconsciously mirrors your gestures, repeats your phrases, or begins adopting your preferences, it's rarely accidental. This subtle imitation is a powerful psychological phenomenon known as mirroring, and it often reveals a hidden emotional bond. Carl Jung believed that when two souls resonate deeply, their unconscious minds begin to synchronize, creating invisible threads of connection that show up in behaviors most people overlook. A glance here, a shared expression there, these are not just coincidences. They're signs of a deeper energetic alignment. Mirroring happens when someone is emotionally invested, often without even realizing it. They cross their legs the way you do. They laugh the way you laugh. They start liking the things you like, not because they're trying to impress you, but because, deep down, your presence is shaping the rhythm of their inner world. Jung taught that the unconscious speaks louder than words, especially when repressed feelings seek a way out. In this case, love, or deep admiration, expresses itself through imitation. This is not just psychology, it's also energy. In the context of spiritual awakening, mirroring can be seen as an early sign of energetic synchronization between two people. When someone begins to reflect your emotional states, even your silence, it's because they're attuned to you on a soul level. Your calm relaxes them. Your joy uplifts them. Even your pain creates an echo in their heart. The mirroring becomes a quiet dialogue between two energies dancing in unison. Sometimes, a person may not have the courage to speak their emotions aloud, especially if they're unsure of your feelings. But their energy speaks volumes. Their actions, their shifts in behavior around you, and the way they subtly adapt to your presence all point towards something more meaningful. They don't just see you, they absorb you. This is how silent love often hides, not in confessions, but in reflections. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Mirroring is the unconscious becoming visible. And in the realm of human connection, especially where love is involved, that visibility is everything. If someone mirrors you, they are not just engaging with your external presence, they are responding to your essence. When you begin to notice these patterns in someone's behavior, don't rush to dismiss them. Instead, pause and observe. What you might be seeing is not imitation, but resonance. A sign that your soul has stirred something in theirs. A sign that beneath the surface, something real is unfolding quietly, instinctively, and deeply aligned with the spiritual truth that energy never lies. If you felt a deep resonance with today's message, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss insights that awaken your soul. Comment below. I attract deep and meaningful connections into my life. 10. Wearing a persona, emotional masking. When someone secretly loves you but is too afraid to reveal their emotions, they often hide behind a carefully constructed mask, what Carl Jung called the persona. This persona isn't their true self. It's a social mask, a version of them shaped to avoid vulnerability. You may notice that around you, They act overly humorous, indifferent, or even emotionally inconsistent. These behaviors aren't random. They're shields. When emotions run deep but remain unspoken, a person may try to protect themselves from potential rejection by pretending not to care at all. That's why someone who secretly cares may laugh too loudly, joke too often, or suddenly shift the conversation whenever things get too personal. Humor becomes a defense. It allows them to stay close to you without risking the truth of how they really feel. They'll appear emotionally distant right after a moment of connection, not because they don't care, but because they care too much. The inconsistency you feel isn't about you. It's their internal struggle between the desire to express love and the fear of being exposed. Spiritually, this reflects a misalignment between the soul's longing and the ego's defenses. You may notice that this person swings between warmth and detachment. One day, they're present, engaged, even affectionate. The next, they pull away, seem distracted, or act like nothing matters. This push-pull pattern often confuses you, making you question whether their feelings are real. But according to spiritual wisdom, such behavior is often a sign of emotional suppression, not absence. The more intense the feelings, the greater the fear of losing control over them. Their persona steps in, not to deceive, but to survive emotionally. Sometimes, the mask slips. You might catch them looking at you just a second too long, saying something thoughtful, and then quickly brushing it off with a joke. These moments of authenticity are the soul's quiet rebellion against the mask. And if you're emotionally aware, you'll recognize those glimpses for what they are: hidden affection trying to surface. Jung believed that behind every persona is a deeper truth, and often that truth is love unspoken. Emotional masking is a form of silent suffering. It allows someone to be close to you without ever fully arriving. Their actions might seem confusing, but through the lens of spiritual wisdom, they carry a message. I care, but I'm afraid. Understanding this dynamic doesn't mean you should excuse all behavior, but it helps you recognize the signs of unspoken love. The persona protects them, but it also keeps them distant. Only when they feel emotionally safe will they begin to lower the mask and let love speak freely. If this message resonates with your soul, repeat after me. I am ready to remove the mask and live in emotional truth. 11. Emotional testing. Seeking clarity without risk. They may subtly test you through jokes, playful teasing, or by mentioning fake crushes not to confuse you, but to measure your emotional response. This behavior is often a quiet search for clarity without putting their own feelings at risk. They want to know how you feel, but without revealing their own vulnerability. Carl Jung believed that much of what we do is guided by the unconscious, and emotional testing is a perfect example of that hidden guidance. When someone is afraid of rejection, their mind will find clever, indirect ways to seek reassurance through casual words that seem harmless on the surface, but are loaded with deeper intent. You might notice them asking things like, "Do you think people like us could ever work?" Or, "Would you ever date someone who's a little like me?" These are not innocent questions. They're emotional probes. It's their way of checking if your door is even slightly open without having to knock directly. They pay close attention to how you react. A smile, a pause, even your tone of voice, all of it becomes data to them. This is how they try to protect themselves from rejection while still chasing connection. This dynamic plays out more often than we realize, especially in close friendships or work relationships. It's common for someone to mask real romantic interest with sarcasm or banter. They'll say, "Too bad I'm not your type." Or, "If I were your boyfriend, I'd never let you carry all those bags." These lines may seem funny, but they often hide a desire to know if they stand a chance in your heart. They're afraid to confess, so instead, they test. In many cases, this pattern reflects deeper emotional fear, often stemming from past wounds or unhealed insecurity. It's a push and pull strategy. They move closer with hints and humor, then pull back before getting too exposed. And if you respond coldly or with indifference, they quickly retreat, telling themselves it wasn't serious to begin with. But if you react positively, even subtly, it encourages them to come a little closer next time. Emotional testing becomes their silent way of navigating unknown emotional terrain. Carl Jung emphasized that unless we become conscious of these hidden behaviors, they will continue to rule our lives from the shadows. When someone emotionally tests you, it's not manipulation, it's self-protection. It's someone hoping you'll make it easier for them to open up. The need to test, to probe, to joke while watching your eyes, these are not signs of indifference. They are signs of secret longing, covered in cautious curiosity. If you've ever felt someone testing your emotions without showing theirs, you're not alone. If this message resonates with you, comment below. I trust the clarity God brings into my life. 12. Unspoken support, protective instinct. They may never say the words, but their presence speaks louder than any confession. When someone shows up during your darkest hours without being asked, without needing recognition, it reveals a kind of love rooted not in performance, but in protection. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious often expresses what the conscious mind is too afraid to admit. That means when someone repeatedly supports you in silence, it may be their soul acting on emotions they can't fully articulate. This isn't just compassion, it's unspoken devotion. You'll notice it in the little things, like how they check in when you're quiet, offer help when you're overwhelmed, or stand by your side when others walk away. They don't need to be the hero or hear your thanks. They just want to make sure you're okay. That's the protective instinct at work, a deep, energetic pull toward you. Spiritual wisdom teaches us that love often reveals itself not through dramatic gestures, but through quiet consistency. When someone chooses to protect your peace without asking for anything in return, they're showing you a love that comes from the soul, not the surface. This is especially true during a spiritual awakening, when the heart becomes more attuned to the energies around it. The people who consistently offer you shelter, emotional or physical, are often the ones spiritually connected to you. Jung's insight reminds us that what is repressed still finds its way into the light. In this case, it takes the form of subtle loyalty, small acts of service, and protective behavior that transcends logic. There's something sacred about the person who holds space for your healing without asking questions. They don't need a spotlight. They just need you safe. That's a love language too, and often the most honest one. In their eyes, your pain matters. Your silence speaks volumes, and their response showing up is the soul's answer. You might even find that during your most difficult chapters, they appear more than ever. Not because you asked, but because they sensed it. Love, when hidden, doesn't vanish. It transforms. It shows up in gentle gestures, unspoken concern, and an emotional presence that feels like home. This isn't a romantic fantasy. It's an energetic truth. When someone's spirit feels drawn to protect yours, you're witnessing a connection that words can't fully explain. In a world full of noise, unspoken support is a rare and powerful sign. Don't overlook the one who shows up when you're not shining. They may be the one who's been loving you all along. If this silent care and protection resonates with you, don't walk this journey alone. Subscribe to our channel and join a community that understands the power of quiet love and unspoken devotion. Here, we celebrate the hidden ways people show up for us just like God does. You are deeply cared for, even in silence. 13. Your intuition, inner knowing. You may just feel they love you, even when there's no proof. That inner knowing isn't a fantasy. It's intuition, a deep form of unconscious wisdom. Carl Jung believed that intuition reveals truth before the mind can grasp it. It's your spirit picking up on energy that words haven't expressed yet. When someone secretly loves you, their emotions may be hidden from the surface, but your soul senses the signal. You notice a shift in the air, a sudden thought of them when they're not around, or an unexplainable peace when they're near. These moments are not accidents. They're echoes of a silent connection vibrating beneath the surface. Jung explained that intuition comes from the unconscious, meaning it bypasses logic and speaks in symbols, feelings, and energy. When you're around someone who secretly cares, your body reacts, your heart softens, your breath slows, your mind quiets. You might even feel pulled toward them without understanding why. In spiritual wisdom, this is the soul's way of recognizing something real. It's the energy of love trying to reach you through an invisible thread. It may not show up in grand gestures or spoken words, but it lives in the stillness, the dream, the inexplicable pull that keeps returning to your heart. Sometimes, it feels like a gentle whisper during a quiet evening. Other times, it rushes in like a wave when you hear their name. You may question yourself, wondering if it's all in your head, but spiritual awakening teaches that not everything true is seen. The deepest truths are often felt. Intuition doesn't need a reason, it speaks in certainty. It's the part of you that already knows, even when the rest of the world hasn't caught up. You start noticing little signs, the look they give you, the way they listen more deeply, the quiet acts of care they offer without expecting anything back. These may seem small, but your intuition reads them like love letters written in silence. Love doesn't always announce itself with clarity. Sometimes it arrives in soft presence, hidden glances, or dreams that stay with you after waking. You don't have to chase evidence when your spirit has already received the message. This is not about delusion, it's about trust. Trusting your ability to feel what's real. Jung's teachings remind us that the unconscious never lies. When your inner world rings with the truth of connection, it's because something deep within you is already responding to theirs. And when you allow yourself to trust that inner knowing, you're not just recognizing someone else's love, you're honoring your own capacity to feel truth beyond logic. Because what's real doesn't always arrive in words. Sometimes it's the feeling that refuses to fade. To honor your inner knowing and trust the quiet voice within, declare it with faith. Comment below. I trust my intuition to affirm your connection to your higher wisdom and inspire others to listen to their own soul's guidance. So the next time someone lingers a little longer in conversation, remembers the smallest details about you, or lights up when you walk into the room, don't brush it off. Sometimes, love speaks in whispers, not words. And as Carl Jung taught us, the unconscious holds more truth than we often realize. If any of these signs resonated with you today, maybe it's time to look a little closer at the silent connections in your life. Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who might need it, subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another moment of insight into the heart and mind. Love might be closer than you think.